fellow barbarians. It is I, Alan Odinson, and this is the Barbarian Lounge podcast. Want to thank you guys and gals for joining me today. We got an awesome show lined up for you. Let's get a few things out of the way before we get started with our regular content. First off, our website is thebarbarianlounge.com. I urge you to go there to stay up to date on everything from the Barbarian Lounge. Been making some slight updates and upgrades here and there, but the easiest way, because we have switched platforms, the easiest way for you to keep track of us is at thebarbarianlounge.com, where you can find our RSS feed. That means you can keep up to date with all the shows from the Barbarian Lounge. So we're trying to get all this stuff. It's been kind of a headache getting everything fixed and lined up like we want it. I know that our show is still going to be, that Podbean site is still up. I was given notification the other day, because they're still nice enough. Even though they hacked me and fucked my shit up, it's still nice enough of them to send me email updates. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Podbean, for sending me updates about how you basically, through your system, allowed somebody to fuck up our show. So they send me updates and they say, well, your site will officially, your content is still there. Of course, naturally, I'm locked out of my account, because they won't let me in on that. But they said that the site will stay up, I believe, till the 22nd, and then it's going to be gone. All the episodes and everything that are up on that site will be gone. So if you go to thebarbarianlounge.com, it'll direct you to the RSS feed, so you can go there and download those if you want while you still got a chance. I'm going to be uploading those past episodes on another system here. Probably what's going to end up happening is I'm going to put a lot of them on our Patreon page. So a few of those, it's going to be a little harder to listen to them if you're not a member. So what I'm going to do, as a perk for our membership, all of our past episodes will be available on our Patreon site. It's not going to cost our patrons any more money. So that's how I roll. When I give you a set price of what I'm going to charge you, that is what I charge you. There's not any hidden fees or any shit like that. So that stuff will be available. There'll probably some episodes that maybe get re-released every now and then. But for the most part, if you are a member, you will have access to all of our stuff, even after the wonderful world of internet hacking causes it to disappear. For those of you who have been kind of, I don't know, maybe trapped under a rock and you don't really know what's going on, I'll just give you a quick brief update. Maybe you missed a couple shows. Our website, our host site at Podbean did suffer from a hack attack, which actually had a cancel order issued on it, so that site is going down. Now the Barbarian Lounge is being carried exclusively on SoundCloud. Okay, there may be a bit of a lapse as far as getting new episodes on SoundCloud because, I've got it set up so far with a free membership on there. So there's a certain upload limit, but if you are a member of the Barbarian Lounge on our Patreon site, it is business as usual because, as I told you guys, the members are the ones that decided to put a little bit of skin in the game, and they have paid for their protection. So that's kind of how it rolls. There's only certain limited funds that I have, and I had to decide where I wanted to put those. And obviously, the people who decided to support the show, well, they get the protection first. Their material's protected. Our website material is protected. Host site, ain't a whole lot I can do about that. So if anything ever happens, if you're a member, like all of our members, it's been business as usual. They haven't missed a beat. Okay, the train is rolling just like normal, and that's a benefit. So, needless to say, another benefit they're going to have is all those episodes are getting ready to vanish, or getting ready to be purged from the internet, I guess you can say. Well, no worries there. You will still be able to get them. They may still be available on iTunes. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't really know. I know that right now our show on our new platform is carried on iTunes, so you can go to iTunes and listen to the show as well. You can also find the Barbarian Lounge on SoundCloud. But members on our Patreon site, All of the shows are going to be going up there, so at no extra cost to you. So don't freak out; you're not going to be charged, because that's just an appreciation from me to you, my wonderful members, whom I appreciate greatly. And you're probably thinking to yourself, a lot of you guys out there listening may not be members, and you're thinking to yourself, well, geez, how can I get in on this action? Well, let me tell you. If you go to thebarbarianlounge.com, you will see a donate button. I urge you to click there. There you will find several different options and ways you can support the Barbarian Lounge. Obviously, there's a one-time PayPal donation, but the one that I recommend is for you to become a member on our Patreon site. So you go there, and basically what you'll do is you'll make a donation per episode that gets uploaded. Now, the minimum donation is $1. Obviously, you can do more. There's some people that do 2, some people do 3, some people do 5, some people do whatever. Okay, so for a minimum $1, I upload 4 regular episodes early. You get them early if you are a member. And I also upload 4 exclusive broadcasts only available on Patreon. If you are not a member on Patreon, you will never ever hear them. Plus, I guess as an added perk now, you will also get all of our past shows that are going to be gotten rid of. But either way, you will have access to all of our content there. So, a total, what does that come up to? I charge for, per episode, but I only will charge for the 4 regular shows and the 4 exclusive shows. So, if you do $1, that's $8 a month to support this show. That is not a lot to ask for a little bit of skin in the game, my friends. Because let me tell you something. There's a lot of shit that goes on behind the scenes. There's a lot of meetings I have with people. There's a lot of contacts I make and moves and people that I shake to get where I'm at. So the game is constantly evolving here, and I get a lot of people asking me what they can do, and I tell them, the people that are out there fighting, the people that are supporting the cause, the voices that are out there, because that's the game right now. The war right now is to silence the voices. So those are the people you need to support. There's a lot of people out there, but if you're listening to this show, I urge you to support us here at the Barbarian Lounge. And the easiest way to do that is go to our website, patreon.com/The Barbarian Lounge. Get some skin in the game, get in the fight. All right, so let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything. UCY.TV, Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. You can catch the show there. We have some different content that goes up there, so you can check that out. Check UCY.TV out. Also, the show's on iTunes, Stitcher. All those have been upgraded as well. So I believe that's it, except for our sponsors. OdinsonArchery.com, traditional bows made from non-traditional materials. You can go there and get all of your archery gear. Now is an excellent time to do so. You're going to see, I guess the next time if you want to meet me in person, the next time to do that is going to be at Blade Show in Atlanta, coming up first weekend of June. I will be there. I will be walking around. I will have some fun toys. So you can come, hang out with me, hang out in the pit after hours. I will be down there probably with a bottle of rum and a motherfucking pirate flag. So you can come find me. I'm going to be very easy to find there. So check me out at Blade Show. I'll be walking around with some Odinson archery gear, and you can buy it right there from me. Ask me all kinds of questions, take pictures, all that good stuff. Call me an asshole, whatever you want to do. I will be there. So just remember, if you call me an asshole, there may be consequences for that. Also, Mitacon, MitaconUSA.com. Here comes my commercial voice for Mitacon. Mitacon, with a proper diet, supports the cell's fastest, most effective absorption of natural nutrients in each 250 milliliter bottle and sustains the body's mitochondrial generation of usable energy, key to producing ATP, the energy-rich fuel the body needs to achieve peak athletic strength, performance, endurance, and recovery. Just in case you thought that shit might be recorded, that was me fucking up right here. So, as usual, I got my trusty cup of Mitacon here. Here comes the old jingle. And you may hear me taking sips every now and then throughout the show. Trying to stay fucking focused, because, man, I tell you what, guys, I am fired up. I am energized. In the weeks leading up to Blade Show, last year I just kind of decided to go. This year I'm kind of going with a plan. So I have been just on fire lately because my plan, last time I didn't go sell a damn thing. This year, I'm planning, I don't have a table there, but I will be a fucking walking billboard. I will be walking around with all kinds of shit, and, it's going to be quite the experience, let me just tell you. So, if you want the full Alan Odinson experience, that's going to be the place to get it, especially after hours in the pit, where we will be down there having us a good time. So, you know, there'll be a lot of people there and everything, but I've been, as I've told you, just a little bit of, inside info, I guess you could say. I've been hitting the world of powerlifting, and man, I am feeling strong, I am feeling energized, and it is just, I'm telling you, it is something. People ask a lot of times why I lift heavy weights and all these things like that, and I will admit it's very, very addictive for the most part. I love the heavy lifting. I love the addiction of conquering a heavy weight, you know, because the weight is, to me, this is going to sound very esoteric, but for me, the weight is a lot like life, you know. When you got that bar, like, say, bench press. I love doing bench press. People are like, oh, well, it's just for your chest. Now, if you do a correct bench press, it's pretty much like an upper body squat. It'll get everything in there. If you're finished with bench press and your lats aren't sore, you're fucking up, okay? So, whenever I'm doing bench press, right, I'm sitting there, and I've got the bar loaded up with like 350 pounds or whatever. You know, I actually got a PR at 385. And I had a jacked up grip, which was really funny. My right hand was too narrow, and I had already committed to the lift, and I got it locked out, but I wrestled that bar to a lock. You know, it's crazy because I did it another time, no problem. But, that jacked up grip really messed me up, and I think I had 405 in me, but I just burned all my calories trying to get it up there. But, you know, I'll be coming for your ass next time, 405. You just wait. But a lot of times when you're laying there and you got that bar, you're locked in position, you got that bar over your body, and you're sitting there staring at it, and you're feeling, me, whenever I grab the bar, I immediately start trying to transfer energy into that bar. It might be weird for a lot of people, but I like to transfer that energy into the bar and really just almost feel myself almost shaking with anticipation for the lift. And when you unrack that bar and you got it over your body, let me tell you something. That weight does not care what your problems are. It doesn't care if your grip's messed up. It doesn't care if your elbow's bothering you. It doesn't care if you're having some problems at work. It doesn't care if you're a little hungry. It doesn't care if you're a little tired. It does not care. It is just there. And it will crush you. You have two options. You can touch your chest and press off and lock it out, or it will crush you. That's the only two options you have. That's it. The weight either wins or it loses. And that's pretty much the way life is a lot of times, man. You know, when that weight, we got all kind of pressures and all kind of weights that are just trying to push us through the floor, and they don't care what your problems are. Boo-hoo-hoo. Everybody's got problems. That weight does not care. It will smash you the same as life will. So you only have one option. You let it smash you and crush the life out of you, or you fucking press it off your chest. And that's how we do it. That's how we do it. That's why I love powerlifting. That's why I love the heavy lifting and everything behind it. It is a mindset. You go into that almost with a fighting mindset. And that's lacking a lot in the world. Absolutely lacking. And Mitocon is one of those things, man, that I've been finding myself consuming more and more of. Because it's not like the shitty energy drinks that they have out there. You know, it's really good stuff. You talk to my boy Ben, MitoconUSA.com. He'll hook you up. So talking about that fighting mindset, today I had a couple different ideas of topics. I've got some cool guests lined up that are going to be coming up in the next couple weeks. One of them in particular, I think you guys are going to really, really enjoy. I've been looking forward to talking to him for a little while now. But today I'm going to be talking about that fight and all this stuff like that. I'm going to be talking about a clip that emerged, I don't know, I think it probably earlier this week, maybe towards the end of last week. And you guys have probably seen it. It's been surfing around on the web. But it was the video of the fight, if you want to call it that, the fight between the MMA guy, right, in China, and this traditional Chinese martial artist. So it was scheduled to kind of be like this no-holds-barred fight. I'll kind of map it out for you. Basically, I was reading some stuff on it, and basically this guy came out, this MMA guy, and he's like, I think all of these Chinese masters are fucking frauds. and I challenge any of them to fight me. And of course, there's money involved and all this shit like that. You know, they do these things every now and then. And, you know, the guy, you know, obviously you don't get a lot of takers with most things like this. You know, kind of like in Fight Club, where he says, you know, contrary to popular belief, most people don't really want to get in a fight. That's the way it is a lot of times, even in the martial arts community. I guess especially if you're not in a martial art that does a lot of fighting competitively. Now, you walk into a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym and say, I want to fight somebody, you're going to have, like, hands going up, you know. When I first started training MMA, we had a guy come in from a local karate school. And you got to think, we were a Thai gym and a shoot wrestling gym. But shoot wrestling is basically, you know, Japanese, you know, submission wrestling. And that was what we were, mainly. Yeah, we did some kung fu and some weapons work, but mainly that was what we did. And we had a guy come in from a karate school, come in, and he was like, I'm one of the black belts there, blah, blah, blah. I would like to spar in your MMA class. And he's like, who would like to spar me? You know, my sensei looks over, and all of us are like raising our hand, like, ooh, please, me. So, this guy goes and changes and comes out in a fucking American flag gi, and I'm like walking up to he looks like fucking Rex Kwon-Dun. I'm walking up to my sensei, I'm like, please, give him to me. I want this so bad. And, you know, he obliged, and I proceeded to kick the shit out of this guy. And I was like a 16, 17-year-old kid at the time. You know, I was strong and everything, and he was an older, I say older gentleman. He was in his, you know, at the time for me, he was an older gentleman. He was probably like 35 or so, you know, black belt and all this cool shit. But, you know, it was like, okay, I don't know a lot, but I know leg kick, double leg slam, you know, and once I get him on the ground, it's like a shark. I'm just mauling the guy. So, you know, and this is kind of the same thing you see happen in this particular fight. You know, finally this Tai Chi master is like, you know what, I will step up to fight. And hey, props to him for stepping up, because he didn't have to. They could have just let this guy talk and that would be that. But this guy stepped up. You know, I don't know, maybe if he's had some fights. I don't know what his background particularly is. I just know he was a Tai Chi guy. So they step up and fight starts. The Tai Chi guy is in his traditional uniform. The other guy's in like shorts and fucking, you know, Skechers tennis shoes, whatever. Not even wrestling shoes. And fight starts. And basically the MMA guy closes in. And of course the Tai Chi guy's in his traditional stance, you know, and all the shit like that. Well, the MMA guy comes in and like left hook, right cross. And you can see immediately that the Tai Chi guy's like, oh shit. And here come the punches. Boom, 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 boom. Tai Chi guy falls. Dude gets like, I don't even think he's technically mounted on him. He might kind of have like maybe like a high mount or whatever, or maybe kind of a low squat. And he's just wailing on the guy's head, and that's it. It's like 10 seconds and the shit's over with. Exactly probably what most people expected to happen. So, you know, and from what I understand afterwards, this guy actually got in a lot of trouble. The MMA guy, he actually got in a lot of trouble over this from China, from actually the state government there in China. Because, you see, a lot of the martial arts, a lot of the traditional martial arts there are actually state-run. You know, wonderful commie China, right? The communists will tell you that, oh, it's a utopia. But even their martial arts are fucking state-run. So, you know, you got like the National Wushu Organization and this organization, that the organization of Tim Wok Dung Booty or whatever the fuck kind of crazy name they got for shit. And, you know, they're actually pissed at this guy. And he's actually, from what I understand, I want to say they said he lost his job, and he's running through a lot of trouble for going out there and exposing. He's like, look, I wasn't intending on disrespecting these guys. That wasn't my goal. My goal was basically just to prove that there's something better. And it's like, yeah, but in the world of martial arts, you kind of did disrespect the guy. But, you know, hey, it is what it is, right? It's a fight. There's a winner, there's a loser. But it didn't play out the way you could tell, too, that the crowd wasn't even expecting it. Because after it happened, it was just, they were all like, oh, they were all like happy. Then, like, when the fucking fight was over, they were like, and it was silence. And like a couple people were like a few people in the back, you know. But that's it. It was very, very fucking quiet. And, you know, it's basically like they just got a massive reality check. So it got me thinking about, of course everybody goes, oh, well, it's Kung Fu, and it's traditional martial arts, and MMA's better, and blah, blah, blah. And I've had talks till I'm blue in the face over that shit. But there were some articles that came out saying about how this black eye for the Chinese martial arts, the traditional Chinese martial arts community, this needed to happen. And I made the comment that there are a lot of styles out there, a lot of traditional styles that need a black eye right now. And that's the truth. Because if you've listened to me before, you know my stance on traditional martial arts. I do not think that the style itself, even like the Tai Chi and shit like the Kung Fu styles, I am not anti Kung Fu or any sort of Chinese martial, even Tai Chi. I'm not anti those in the least bit. And I'm like, oh, that's just crap, it doesn't work. That's not me. Not in the least bit. There's always something that can be learned. Fuck, man, I'm an Aikido guy. I like Aikido. I still practice the movements in Aikido. And if any martial art has gotten a lot of shit over the years, it's certainly Aikido. So I understand that there are problems within the traditional martial arts community. One of the big ones is a lot of these guys think because they have this lineage and I have this passed down from, back in the Boxer Rebellion and all this shit like that. And it goes way back and they got a lineage like as long as dating back to the fucking Stone Age or whatever they want to call it. But the reality is, and a guy that I'm looking to have on the show fairly soon, Mike Blackgrave, he said it very well. Lineages never want to fight, and that's absolutely true. When you're fighting, you may have the spirit of some of your ancestors with you, but let me tell you something, brother. It ain't nobody else standing there with you but you. It's the most purest form of. I shudder to use the word sport. But, as far as something that a human being can do, it's one of the most pure things in the world because there's no team to help you. It's just you. And I don't give a shit what your lineage may be or who you may know. I don't care if if the gods came down and blessed you with this and said, take this and conquer the world. I don't give two shits. You better show me what you can do. You better show me what you can do. And that's one of the problems that we have a lot of times with these traditional martial arts styles. A lot of times, where they fail is they only practice fighting each other. So the Kung Fu guys, they practice fighting other Kung Fu guys. Karate guys practice fighting other karate guys. Taekwondo fights Taekwondo. Wrestlers fight wrestlers. Jiu-Jitsu fights Jiu-Jitsu. All you Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys out there are going, ha ha ha, yeah, that's right, fucking traditional martial arts. Yeah, I'm talking to you guys too. Okay, you spend all your time rolling around with your buddies looking like a bunch of fucking crabs crawling around on the ground on your ass thinking you're out there fighting, and you are wrong. Granted, there are some jiu-jitsu schools out there that are fucking high class, and I absolutely would recommend them to anyone, but there's a lot of them out there. I can think of some close to me, as a matter of fact, that you drive by there and all you see is the tops of people's heads. All the time. Looks like a bunch of fucking crabs crawling around on the ground and they're trying to fight people. It's like, I respect the accomplishments and stuff like that of guys like Eddie Bravo and everything, and he is a fantastic thinker in the world of martial arts. But then I watch their application, and I'm thinking, it's like, what's the application here? It's like, well, this is good for MMA. It's like, well, I don't see it. Okay, you can tell me it's good and you can demo it and it looks great, but I'm not seeing it working effectively in higher levels of MMA. It's the same with like street fighting shit. If you're on the ground, you're pulling your leg up over my head and everything, well, you're not really controlling this other arm, so while you're pulling your leg over, I'm pulling a knife out that I'm carrying in an appendix position, and all of a sudden I just start ramming it into your kidneys. It's a different world. They have to understand there's a different world. A lot of those guys are starting on their ass, crawling around. You can't do that. So you have to get comfortable with fighting and competing against people who are different, who have different styles than you. And you must spar. You must spar. You've got to. I cannot stand it when a system tells me they do not spar. And I'm like, how do you know if it works under pressure? Because I'm going to tell you right now, I've been teaching martial arts for a long time. I just recently started teaching it again. I've got some very young, eager students, one of whom I'm seeing tomorrow for a private lesson. But how do you know whether or not your stuff even works if you're not out there testing it. You never know, because everything works great in a demo. Every time. I can do a demo and make it work every single time. Even if I tell the guy, give me some real pressure, it's still not the same as actually applying it live a lot of times. There's a reason that in striking, jab, cross, hook, those 3 movements alone, or you can add uppercut in there if you want to. We'll say there's 4 movements. Jab, cross, hook, uppercut. There's a reason those work so well, because they can constantly be applied in the live battle. And the thing is that there's a lot of strikes that people would say, well, that doesn't necessarily work in the live arena and all these things like that. But the problem is that guys aren't sparring it. I absolutely think that the guys that, let's take this Tai Chi guy. Let this Tai Chi guy work with some guys trained in MMA. Let him learn to apply his craft in that arena. Okay? Let him go to these MMA schools and focus on his style. This guy, you could clearly tell he's never seen a left hook right straight thrown as a combo coming at him. And there's certain anomalies that if you're not prepared for that, well, what are you going to do? I mean, he had his hands out, so he was clearly ready to cut the lines. If you don't know what that is, I'm sorry, that's passion. That's basically, there's certain lines of attack that the human body, there's only certain lines that can be basically followed. And, he could have easily cut those lines, but the problem was he's never trained for that particular thing. He wasn't prepared to cut the line on that left hook that was coming over top and the right straight that followed it. Okay? So you must get out there and spar with other people. And a lot of these guys, man, they get stuck in the past. And they're like, well, this is the way we've done it forever, and this is the way it should be done. There's not a whole lot of instructors out there that are willing to say, what we're doing here is good, but there may be something better, even if it's not the bread and butter of what we do here. And that's one thing that I will certainly commend guys like Eddie Bravo on, because he's a guy that stepped outside the box. And you know what? Maybe in the future, as his system evolves, maybe we'll see more of it. But he was a guy that was willing to say there is something different, there is something that I think may be better. And maybe it works for him. Obviously it works for him. It may be something that is attribute based, which I think a lot of his material is attribute based. But, it's the same with like a lot of karate schools. There's a lot of karate schools, man. You start, they're teaching stuff, and you look at them and you say, you talk to the sensei or whatever. I talk to a lot of different martial arts instructors, and I say, hey, you guys ever thought about maybe bringing in somebody for Thai boxing? And they kind of look at you like, why? Why would I want to bring somebody in for Thai boxing? That's going to take away from karate, Karate is all we need. And it's like, well, I get what you're saying, and I understand that you're trying to preserve your style, but you also have to understand that there's other things out there besides your karate style, right? And MMA's fell into this same trap. I hear guys all the time, oh, MMA, man, MMA, that's the way to go. MMA. And it's like, well, there has become, at one point there wasn't, but now there's become this Joe generic MMA fighter, right? You have, what? Okay, you want to be an MMA guy? Well, this is what you need. You need Thai boxing, and you need some jiu-jitsu, and you need to learn how to wrestle. That's what you need to do, right there. You do those things, you're an MMA fighter, okay? You're training to fight MMA. And then you start seeing these anomalies start moving in. So let me go back just a step here. So you have basically the Joe generic. Everybody starts creating Joe generic MMA fighters. Thai boxer, wrestler, jiu-jitsu. Know those things. You don't have to be masters at them. Just know them, right? And now you're becoming the MMA fighter. So you got a bunch of these guys. Well, then you start seeing these anomalies come in. Like the first one that I can really think of is Lyoto Machida. I love watching Lyoto Machida. A lot of guys don't like him, but I as a martial artiste, which means you apply your craft to somebody and not let them apply it to you. As an artiste, he is fantastic because he came in, and Lyoto Machida, he had the ability to, his base was karate. It's funny, his base was karate, sumo, and jiu-jitsu. So, needless to say, how many guys are you going to be able to find to recreate that style? If all the guys you're training with are Joe generic MMA guys, and they're all Thai boxing, jiu-jitsu and wrestling. Well, how many sumo guys are you going to be able to find? Because there's different movements in that. How many karate guys at that level are you going to be able to find? So there was this massive learning curve that people had to catch up to because they weren't ready for that. And now the latest would be a guy like I'm thinking James Thompson. That's the Colossus. No, I'm talking about Stephen Thompson, Wonder Boy Thompson, fellow South Carolina boy. Stephen Thompson, world champion karate guy, American karate guy, which that means, it's not all the crazy forms and shit. It's a competitive style. An American karate guy now coming in, and you can't find guys to recreate that movement that still have that level of wrestling and groundwork. So now you're seeing people having to start figure out how are we gonna recreate this fighter to train with, because if I don't have nobody to spar with that can do the things that he does, well, now we've got a problem. And this is where the traditional martial arts guys are starting to get a clue. They're understanding now that, okay, we can keep doing what we were doing, but we just have to be prepared for the right straight left hook. We have to be prepared for the double leg. We have to be prepared for the clinch. We have to be prepared for the ground and pound. We got to be prepared for getting off our backs. All these different things like that. And now they're starting to get a clue. Now there still are a lot of styles out there that aren't. Kung Lee's another good example. Kung Lee came to the game way too late, but if you watch Kung Lee in his prime, he was an animal. Absolute animal. People just weren't prepared for that level of striking. And Kung Lee, a lot of people don't realize how much, you never really saw it in his MMA career, but Kung Lee used to dump dudes on their heads, man. He was a ferocious thrower. And granted, being in Sanshou is a little bit different, but he was just absolutely vicious. So you start seeing this, and this is why you see these Chinese traditional martial arts guys in general, this is why they fail at applying their craft, is they're only training with their own guys. They're not willing to drop the lineage bullshit. They're not willing to get out there and spar, hardcore sparring. They get stuck in the past, and they believe the lies that are being told to them. And the old saying of lineage never won a fight, that is absolutely true, guys. But the same thing applies, while I've been talking about traditional martial arts in the empty hand standpoint, the same rule applies to weapons arts. I am very, very critical of many weapons-based martial arts. I practice a lot of different styles. I've done a lot of different ones. I'm not a master at any of them. I'm not a master at anything. I'm a dabbler, jack of all trades. But that enables me to kind of create this really crazy style sometimes that confuses people. But, a lot of the blade arts that are out there, it gets me a lot of times that there's a lot of people running and teaching blade systems that I'll see. This is how their techniques look. You've got one guy armed with a knife and another guy without a knife. And the whole drill is based around the guy with the knife attacking the unarmed guy. And I'm like, what are we doing here? I mean, what is this? Is this like murder martial arts? Are we teaching sensory removal? Because if we're doing that, that's cool. But, if your entire style is based on you having a knife and the other guy not having a knife, what kind of game are you playing here? Are we learning to murder? Because really, if you got a knife and the other guy doesn't have a knife, what do you really have to know? Right? Stick them here, 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 and here. Keep sticking them till the purple shit comes out. And there you go. Death. It's been done since man learned to sharpen a stick. Okay? So I always I scoff at those things because it's like, what are we even doing here? Now, granted, if your entire goal is life or death situation and I have a knife and all these things like that, that's cool. If that's what it is, maybe weapons retention. If it's a weapons retention situation, maybe there's some argument there. But there's a lot of people that they just teach this way. And I don't understand it. Maybe it's based on the guy had a knife and now he doesn't, and now I'm just trying to finish the job. I don't know. It's kind of odd to me. The reality is that if I'm going to be using a knife, that means it's automatically escalated to a deadly force situation. So this individual must be using deadly force against me. Maybe there's more than one, which you can make the argument for blade work there. But 9 times out of 10, the other guy's probably going to be armed with something. So it's like, well, you know, and this is the argument they use it. Well, you know, if the guy comes up with a knife, you're not going to see it. He's just going to start stabbing, and that's it. It's like, okay, well, all right. So, what's my goal from there, right? My goal is to even the odds, which would mean deploying my weapon. So I need empty hand skills to get the space to deploy my own weapon. I'm not going to sit there and tippy-tap them the whole time, things like that. A lot of times, I'm probably going to take a stab, push them or punch them, and other weapons coming out. That's just being realistic, because you know you're not some head on a swivel. You ain't got no fucking radar attached to you to detect every little threat that comes into you. So, you know, my thing is that if it's really going to break down into a blade fight, right? My goal is always going to be to deploy another weapon, whether it be handgun or blade, which we'll get into guns in a minute. But, you know, blade comes out, well, now it's blade versus blade. So why are we not training blade versus blade? Right? Why are we not training blade versus blade all the time? Oh, well, that's dueling. Well, if it's not blade versus blade, it's murder. So what are we doing here, guys? So, you know, it always gets me. It's like I have what I call my tomahawk rant. If you watch guys, the tomahawks are like the latest, greatest thing, right? Everybody flips the tomahawks around, they do this, and they'll strike a target, move the next target, and strike, and flippity floppity, and all this crazy shit. And I'm like, have you guys ever fucking chopped anything in any organic medium, a pig or whatever, or a deer, whatever it may be, with a tomahawk? Have you ever hit it before to see what happens? Newsflash, your tomahawk gets stuck. Okay? So you're not going to be doing all this flippity floppity, twirly whirly shit. The tomahawk's going to hit, it's going to get stuck, and you're going to have to remove that tomahawk. So, it's always funny, man. I always said, you know, whatever happened to just chopping a motherfucker in the head, right? It's funny. I understand, you know, the outside range and all this stuff like that. There's a lot of arguments for why they do that. And I understand, I do totally get that. But, you know, it goes right back to the whole tradition versus reality thing. I mean, what are we doing? Traditionally, this is how we do it. We move like this, we move like that, and we do this, we do that. And it's like, well, you know, the reality is if I pull my knife, we're in deadly force fight. So, you know, I can't just go deadly force on somebody without, you know, understanding the reason why we got there to start with. Okay? You know, so, you know, if I don't have a weapon and I get attacked with a knife, I'm probably going to get stabbed. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I catch it at the last minute and I make distance, and guess what? Weapon comes out, right? Either blade or gun. Weapon comes out and we go from there. So now it's knife versus knife. And so we're in this dueling mode. So my question always is why do people practice the art of murdering rather than practice the art of dueling? I think a lot of times it's to keep asses in the seats for a regular paying class. Because if you teach people to duel, maybe they get a little weird about it. I don't know. Sometimes it may be, I think, because the system's not really there. You know, a lot of people work that close knife work and everything like that. And I hate to tell you guys, if you look at the history of when people were killing people with blades, distance was the king. There wasn't none of this at arm's reach shit. If it got to arm's reach, you were in a bad way. Okay, one of you's dying and one of you's going to the hospital, and he may be joining his partner pretty soon. Distance has always been king in the world of blades, long blades. Even people realize if you follow the evolution of dueling, or blade versus blade, if you follow the evolution of dueling before it went to firearms, what did it evolve to? Long, pointy rapiers, no edge, just a long point so you could stay way far away and stab holes in the other person and not get holes stabbed in you. So, you know, everybody has their traditions and why they do this and why this happens and why that happens. But the reality is, when people were towards the end of the evolution of many years of fighting each other with blades, they realized, you know, I don't want to get stabbed, so if I stay far away with this long pointy thing and start putting holes in them, that actually works to my favor. The longer my weapon, the less chance they have of getting me. You know, people don't understand this whole thing about distance in martial arts. And they think just because you're working in the world of blades, you know, say like handheld blades and knives and whatnot, that the same thing doesn't apply. And that's just not true. I've had some people come out here and work with me, and, you know, they're Filipino martial arts based, whereas my base is more of a long range blade style. And the movements I do is completely confusing to them because, well, that's not how we train. And I'm like, well, obviously, your training is working with other guys who do the same shit you do. How often have you had the chance to work with somebody who does any fencing? Knife fencing, regular épée fencing. Have you ever done any kenjutsu? All of these things start creating this crazy, wild system that becomes very difficult for your opponent to read. I've knife sparred with several Filipino martial arts guys, and my movements are weird. They look weird. They look funny. It doesn't look like it's anything, but it's all. They're like, where'd you learn that? I'm like, fencing. That's a classical fencing position. So it's different. It's a different mentality. And it doesn't take much to take those same systems of keeping a distance between you and the other person. All you got to do is play around with blades a little bit. You can take two of the best trained knife dudes in the world, hand them two blades. We'll just say for the sake of argument, hand them two real blades and have them fight. I guarantee you none of them are going to want to get within arm's reach of the other. They're going to stay back. They're going to be taking chopping, distance-based shots at each other because nobody wants to get their limbs chopped. Okay, it's the same thing with any sort of blade style. So quickly, I'll touch on guns here real quick. Gunfight, right? There's so much fuckery in the gun world. Gunfight. The root word of gunfight is not gun, it is fight. If you have a gun and you're not in the fight, you just have a gun, right? It's kind of like if you're in a band and you've got a guitar, and unless you can actually play that guitar, you just got a fucking guitar. That's it. You're not actually a part of the band. If you're out fishing and you got a fishing rod, but you don't have any bait, guess what? You just got a fishing rod. All right. There's a certain level of violence that comes with being in the fight. A lot of people think they can just, if they go to the range and they shoot paper and maybe they move around a little bit, walking in a line or whatnot, and shooting paper and all this stuff like that, that automatically, I am trained in gunfighting. And that's so not the case. It's the actual shooting portion of gunfighting is a small percentage of what the actual fight is going to take care of. The fight is going to be, it's going to have many different forms. There's a lot of things that go into the actual gunfight itself. Marksmanship is one of them, but it is, in a way, a small percentage of it. There's a lot of things that have to happen. Even if you look at just the mindset it takes with shooting flat paper targets versus a 3D target. And I'm not talking about just training with 3D targets. I'm talking about, for most of us, we're going to be fighting in an urban environment. There's going to be people around. And a lot of people don't get the idea, for some reason, that bullets go through things. Okay? Bullets go right through things a lot of times. Alright, so you need to know you're in the correct position when you fire that round so it doesn't go through and hit an innocent bystander behind them. Oh, I don't give a shit, fuck that. Well, let me tell you something. You may win the gunfight, but you got two other fights after that. The legal one and the psychological one. You may, if you got that mentality, the psychological might be easy, but I'm telling you what, the legal gunfight's the one that's going to kick your ass. So you need to be mindful of the actual what's behind your target. And a great way to do that is with 3D targets. Plus, at certain angles that the target may be at, you may have to place your shots differently to hit the vitals. Okay, it's not always just aim center mass. That's not always the way it goes. I know that's the easy way out a lot of times, and it's not just shoot them in the head. Shoot them in the head is not always the way to go, for multiple reasons. There's a reason we say shoot them in the heart and shoot them in the brain. All right, knowing the angles that the body can be at and where the vitals are lined up here. If you may shoot center mass and you may completely miss the vitals, depending on the angle of the target. So these are all things you have to think about. The whole point shooting versus sighted shooting. Obviously, if you're within arm's reach of somebody, you can probably get away with staying away from your sights. But I hear people argue a lot of times with point shooting. They say, well, it's quicker than sighted shooting. And then I watch them point shoot, and it's basically as fast, if not slower. A lot of times it's slower than actually sighted shooting. Okay, usually what it is a lot of people who haven't put in the time and effort to learn how to find their front sight. There's a lot of things you can do to help you find your front sight, but a lot of guys just, they don't put forth the effort. They're like, oh, I can just point shoot it. Let me tell you something. Test that shit force on force with actual FX rounds flying through the air, and let me know how well your point shooting works. Okay? I have seen it fail, I've had it fail, and sighted shooting is king. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. But the other big part of gun fighting that a lot of people don't get is the actual gun handling portion. How well do you do reloads? Malfunctions, can you clear them? Can you transition to another weapon? Where's your holster position? Gun handling is a huge part of gun fighting. A lot of times when you take classes with people, that's basically what they're teaching you, is correct gun handling. And a lot of guys just don't really grasp that concept. They're like, oh, I can shoot. And it's like, okay, and, that's only a small piece of the puzzle, guys. And that always breaks the heart of people who aren't willing to actually put forth the effort to seek out any training. It's like, I don't need any training. I can shoot a fly off a horse's back at 25 yards with my trusty 1911. And it's like, okay, that's great. That's great. First off, you probably can't. But second off, how many rounds have you put through that gun? What are the different, what are the elements of where you carry your actual mags? How often do you practice your draw stroke? Do you carry with a round in the chamber? You'd be amazed how many people do not. There's a lot of things that play into account. What if you get shot? What if the first shot of the gunfight is you getting shot? Are you in a position to operate your weapon one-handed? So many things play into the game. But it's the same way everybody does what they've always done, and they create training scars, and they don't realize the problem with that in the long run. So I've probably managed now to, I think I've insulted everyone in the fighting world by now. So I'm gonna hit a last call here. Last call, guys. In this last call, we're gonna talk about what actually does work, okay? What works? Sparring. Sparring works. If you say, well, my style doesn't spar, then your style probably is not worth a shit. Plain and simple. You have to spar. Not only do you have to spar, you have to spar with other people than your regular style. Okay? Jiu-jitsu guys, you need to spar with wrestlers. You need to spar with sambo guys, and vice versa for all those guys. Karate guys, you need to spar with everybody you can. The Chinese martial arts guys, spar with whomever you can. Why do you think Bruce Lee was so good? He understood this long before anybody. I always said, if you want to read a manual on true mixed martial arts, you need to read Tao Jeet Kune Do. That's the original mixed martial arts manual. He got all this shit. I practice traps and stuff with Wing Chun all the time. All the time I'm demonstrating traps and everything from Wing Chun. And it's something I picked up a long time ago, but we learned it applying it within our regular boxing. So our regular Thai boxing stuff, in the middle of that may come a trap from Wing Chun if it's available. So if you get a lot of these guys who are kung fu guys and they start working with boxers and they learn how to apply their craft against a boxer, well, now you're starting to even the game up a little bit. The next one, compete. You need to compete. Test yourself against other people who do not want to lose to you. And this goes for whether it's, grappling, striking, whatever it may be. But also, you weapons guys out there, I can't stand to hear people that practice the blade style, they're like, oh, you'll never see us sparring. We never do that stuff. We never compete. Oh, that knife versus knife tournament, that's silly. It's like, you know what? It's not reality, because you're not going to find somebody to want to go out there and willfully chop each other up with knives. But it is a hell of a measuring stick to see where you are in the world of your martial art. Remember, martial is the fighting aspect of it. The art is not letting somebody apply their craft to you. So if you only practice, drilling or whatever, you're just practicing the martial aspect. Does the art of your martial art actually hold any weight? Number 3, train in current clothing. You need to quit training in pajamas. All right, we're not in feudal Japan. People do not walk around in gis. Okay? Well, the gi represents a jacket. Okay, if you're in an area where it's cold all the time, by all means train in your gi. For me, I live in the South, and Yeah, it's like I'm wearing tank tops and fucking shorts right now, and I wear that in December. So, you know, it's going to be different for everybody, but train in your regular clothing. Even a jacket is going to be different than a gi for the most part. So you need to be able to do what you do in the clothing that you normally wear. Number 4, train around. I know this is a thing a lot of people don't like to talk about, and they get upset when you talk about training at other places. You need to have an understanding of other arts, and a lot of times that means going and learning at other places if need be. Okay, you know, your people, you can learn a vital, get some vital intel from another martial art and bring it back to your guys. Just because you train with other people does not automatically make you a traitor to your guys. Okay? Yes, they may be there working, and, you know, if you just go train to get yourself better and you come back and you don't offer anything, well, then you're kind of being a diplomat, aren't you? But if you go there and learn something and bring it back, say, hey, let me show you this cool shit I picked up from this other school, well, now everyone is starting to grow. Okay? So you have to be willing to put that ego aside and go learn from other people. And last but not least, fuck your lineage. Fuck it good, fuck it long, fuck it wide. Fuck your lineage. Your lineage means nothing to me. I don't care if Jesus motherfucking Christ climbed down off the cross and handed you a handbook and a gi and a black belt and said you are now the style of Christ Kwando. I don't give a shit what it is. I do not care. At the end of the day, there's so many things that go into the martial artist. Mainly, it becomes the guy. The individual who is applying that craft, that is what matters at the end of it. That is all that matters. It does not matter what you, or who taught you what. Can you apply it? And most important, can you apply it to me? Can you apply it to these other guys? Oh, well, technique trumps size. Really? Is that so? Because that's not always the case. Not always the case. All right. Yes, there can be, a little bit of a disparity in some issues other than others, but a 110-pound guy is not going to be able to, he's most likely not going to be able to take down a 350-pound gentleman who has the slightest iota about wrestling. He's not. There's videos online of guys trying it. Okay? It's like, well, he'll take him down and choke him. Well, he can't take him down. Well, if he gets behind him and throws his hooks in, he can't put his hooks on him because he's too wide. So there's always different avenues and aspects that change the game in the world of martial arts. Can you apply them? That's all that matters. It doesn't matter who you learn from. Doesn't matter who taught you what or what you think you can do. I don't care what your belt is. I don't care who gave you this certificate. None of that matters. At the end of the day, what can you do? That's all. Don't tell me what you can do. Show me what you can do. If we take this mentality towards the martial arts world, and this even extends further than that, guys. It extends further in the world of business. It extends further into the world of just our daily lives. Because there's a lot of guys that tell you things, right? There's a lot of guys out there that tell you all these grand stories, but then you look at their actions and it's like, well, what the fuck are you doing? It's the guy who teaches a college course on business. And you say, well, you're teaching a course on business, but what businesses have you started, sir? That's not the game we play here. We're all about action here. We're about action here at the Barbarian Lounge. Let me tell you something, guys. I was thinking about this the other day. I've had people come to me for years telling me that when I went to make the move initially, to walk away from a job where I was making a ton of money, everybody said, you know what? They said, man, I don't know if you really want to do this. I mean, you're going to be making all this money and it's scary. You're not going to have a paycheck, blah, blah, blah. And all of them told me that I couldn't do it because, their lineage consisted of a life of servitude, I guess you can say, of working here, working there. You got to have a job. You got to do this, and you got to work for this, and you got to build up to that, and all these things like that. But I said, fuck it. Fuck their lineage. Fuck everything they think they know. I'm going to go out, and I'm going to do my own thing, and I'm going to make it. And they're like, are you sure? Are you sure? It's not really safe. Odinson, it's not really safe, Odinson. I don't think you should do it. To those people, all I can say is, here I stand. Here I stand, right here before you, the other end of this mic, several businesses, several growing. All I have around me is growing fruit. Here I stand, and there they are where they were when they were telling me at the time to be safe. Let me tell you something, my friends. There's no stories. There's no glorious sagas. There's not even any fucking fairy tales written about people that played it safe. That shit gets me fired up, guys. Gets me fired up. I hope you guys enjoyed this show. I enjoyed making it. Talking about the martial arts world. Hopefully, there's a lot of things that we can take into account with this whole thing that happened. A lot of people thought it was kind of funny. I saw it as a learning experience. We can use these things to our advantage. We can use all these lessons in the world of martial arts. The mistakes that people make. Everything I told you. The sparring, competing, training your correct clothing, fuck your lineage and train around, stuff like that. That applies to everything. Constantly learning, constantly evolving. And the only way we're going to get better is if we take that mindset throughout life every single day. When somebody walks up to you and tells you to take take the safe path, they say, look, man, statistics show that most businesses are going to fail. Statistics show this. And I've got a long list of people who I can tell you who have also failed. Whenever that guy walks up to you and says that, you look him right in the eye and you say what old Alan Odinson would tell him. Hey, man, fuck your lineage. And on that note, my fellow barbarians, this episode of the Barbarian Lounge is closed.